Clap, clap, clap.
Clap.
That's.
You can't clap in gloves because it doesn't make a noise.
Can I just talk about these quickly?
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. By the way, welcome to another episode of Spilling the Tea at the Manor.
I've actually got water in here. I didn't want tea
that's
today.
a bit weird.
No, but it's very good.
Okay.
Mapperton water.
Yeah, and I don't do caffeinated caffeine unless I'm in Italy, actually. So this is decaf. So our coffee machine here has just decaf for me. But let's talk about these gloves. So I received a package from one of you the other day, and inside was 3 pairs of cashmere fingerless gloves with a little bit of embellishment here. And they were made by the woman who sent it. They were made by a friend of hers who goes into charity shops and finds cashmere jumpers in charity shops that, you know, obviously are being upcycled, and buys them and then creates fingerless gloves out of them. Isn't that great?
It's a fabulous idea. Now, I have quite a few old, what I would call jerseys here, some of which are cashmere, and they've all been moth-eaten.
Well, there you go.
So do you think, yeah, but if I gave you my ones, you'd have a hole there, you'd have a hole there.
No, I'm sure I could find a patch.
Whereas these are incredibly smart, so thank you very much.
But by the way, do you know that I'm learning to sew?
That's frightening.
Have you not seen the sewing machine?
I did see a big package arrive.
I'm learning to sew, everybody.
I think it's your second sewing machine, actually.
Well, one I bought that is upcycled, and it's just for sort of decoration.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, this is a proper
this
brother.
Is the real thing.
I didn't get a singer, everybody. I had a brother. I looked at reviews on YouTube.
Watch out for those fingers. That always seems to me to be the.
So I've got to practice, and then you're going to see me on YouTube. By the way, people are going to see me on YouTube.
So things.
You're not even paying attention to my sewing, are you?
Because I haven't seen any of it yet. All I've seen is a package with a machine in it. But I thought we should just touch on some of the things we're going to talk about today. We're obviously going to give an update on Quackers, our poor departed runner duck, but where there's been a wonderful outpouring of support for us and for Quackers.
You don't need to go through all of them.
Julie's got an update on her dissertation.
I've got a list there,
stuff
everybody.
happening with the tapestries. I'm having a haircut.
Yeah,
This is
really big
important.
At noon today.
Because it's really getting quite shaggy. Look at this, it's sort of in my eyes.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I was this morning when
you were looking at it and thinking,
I was like, wow, haircut.
I'm really looking forward to that. Okay. It's 12:15 today.
Can I just look at your hair?
Do you want to just make it acceptable for spilling the
Remember,
tea?
don't go too short either.
And I'm not
Keep
going
it
to go
so
too
it's
short,
got some body, but like not too short.
Okay. Any thoughts on
not too short? We like it floppy, but not this. This is like then you've been dragged through the hedges, and then oh my gosh. Okay, right. Update on Quackers, everybody. Wow. So I think let's rewind to the incident that happened a couple of weeks ago. And those of you who are tuning into Spilling the Tea for the first time, unfortunately, our white runner duck died by the hands of one of our visitors. So we're open to the public, and we had a visitor come with her young son. She had clearly come from probably the play area.
I think our viewers know all about this. The world knows about Quackers.
It's true.
It's gone global.
It's
been on the BBC, it's been on Sky News, it's been page 3 of the Times, page 7 of the Telegraph.
I was on Times Radio, so many radio stations. It's been New York Post, the Daily Beast.
And I think the news coverage, quite rightly, is running out of steam now, which is probably a good thing because there are other important things in the world happening. But what's been amazing for us has been the extent to which people have come forward with messages of condolence and indeed support. And one of the things that will be coming up in one of the next videos is my mother and I making a trip down the garden to look at possible locations for a Quackers Memorial Pond. And that is made possible because so many people have generously donated to the Quackers Memorial Pond Fund.
Yeah, we put the details down in the description.
Down below. I think it's GoFundMe/Quackers Memorial, and that will be a pond, obviously, that people can visit.
Yeah.
We also expect it'll be a haven for wildlife, including, we hope, the odd duck.
Yeah, wild ducks.
That will come in.
We're going to have a plaque. Somebody has kindly and generously emailed us about doing the plaque in kind. So they're going to create, and they're a proper, sort of laser plaque, has kindly asked if they could donate the plaque.
Right.
So that I've been in touch with them. So we're going to have a plaque there for Quackers, and it will be called the Quackers Memorial Fund, the Quackers Memorial Pond, and visitors can then come when we're open to the public, come and view it, which I think will be lovely.
I mean, we've got two possible locations. One is right at the end of the garden.
Don't tell anybody yet.
Oh, I just did. Oops.
Yeah,
because
they need to watch the video.
Forget that. Forget what I said. The other is somewhere out on the estate, and I'm not going to give you any further clues.
Yeah, be nice and vague.
Yeah.
Watch our YouTube video, so that's great. But we just want to say a huge thank you. And also the last update is many have asked, has the woman come forward? No, she hasn't. We don't expect her to now, especially with all of the media. So we're just going to, look at the positive side of this, and
Quackers would want us to move on. It's time to move on.
And create a fund, a memorial pond for him.
You keep saying a memorial fund.
I know. Well, they're both
There's a memorial fund.
They're both 4 letters.
For a memorial pond.
And they both have 2 of the same letters.
Do. Yeah.
And and.
How is your dissertation coming along?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's coming along okay. So I had to rework my introduction and my literature review, submitted that to my course tutor, also submitted chapter 1 and chapter 2 to my course tutor. And then I should finish today and tomorrow. When I say finish, a draft of chapter 3, my last chapter. And that would then, of course, that's going to have to be reworked because it's the draft. So I still have to rework that. And then I need to do an abstract conclusion. Then I've got to tidy it up. I've got a bit to do.
For those of you who haven't been reading headlines about Julie's dissertation, and indeed there are not yet any headlines about Julie's dissertation, but I hope there will be. Very quickly, your dissertation is on the subject of my great-grandmother, Alberta, the 9th Countess of Sandwich.
An American heiress.
And it leads up to the time of her marriage, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm doing a master's in country house studies through University of Buckingham, and because her life is just so colored, and there's no way you can do it.
Colored or colorful?
Colorful, thank you. Thank you.
Colored,
I'm having difficulty with words today. Pond, fund, is so colorful. That there's no way I could have written a dissertation. I mean, that would have been a PhD, 85,000 words, which is actually what my course tutor was trying to convince me to sign up for. I said, no, I'll just do the 25,000 word master's. But it's really coming, it's interesting. I will tell you this, everybody, I guess the crux of the dissertation, of course, the material, I should say, is the diary that we have. And that's when she wrote that between ages 21, 22, and 21 and 22, and a little bit when she was 23. And it's profound. It's sort of dark in areas. She just throws out all sorts of emotions onto the pages. It's pretty incredible, especially she's writing this in 1899 and 1900. And I think to be able to read her emotional state page after page after page is pretty incredible. I mean, she writes at one point, she writes to her diary, there are so many things I wish to say to you, but fear of this becoming a rant. And then there's an area in her diary that she says, I hope someday one beautiful soul will find this, when she was writing about something else, and this might help them.
Are you that beautiful soul, do you think?
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah.
I think I am, actually.
I think you are too. That's a rather extraordinary thing, isn't it? So this is all very moving, and every time Julie gives me little extra snippets, it's extraordinary to see the degree to which Alberta, as you say, bared her soul on the page.
She really did.
Not expecting people to read that, but obviously expecting people perhaps to read the letters, because the letters she kept, and she got back the letters from her correspondent, whether that was her mother or her aunt
or George.
Or George.
Her husband.
And it, it's been extraordinary for my family, for my father and for my aunt, who recently visited Mapperton, to kind of learn more about their grandmother, who I've just discovered they called Dee Dee.
Yes.
And funnily enough, whilst Alberta died before I was born, as did George, I do remember people talking about Dee Dee. So I feel a sort of slight connection to Dee Dee. And that was a name I hadn't heard for some time. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to reading it. Of course,
I don't think
Julie's not letting me read it.
I will once I submit. So but I think you'll be quite astounded when you read in particular chapter 2, which is focusing in on this diary. It's absolutely astonishing.
Well, so, I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I hope it's not too far away.
Well, it can't be, because I need to submit
in the next
submit it
soon, haven't
month.
You?
So yes,
the pressure of a deadline. Gosh, I haven't had one of those.
It's not fun.
I
think I'll feel so relieved. But I still do have lots to do of tidying it up, and I've got to make sure that my course tutor is happy with sort of the 2 chapters that I've written so far, and those 2 chapters have been tidied up. So hopefully there's not too many changes needed.
So guess what I've been doing? I'm aching today, because yesterday I was down in Holeacre at the Beaver Pond.
Now, remind people what Holeacre is.
Holeacre is one of our woods. It's the location.
So it's part of the estate.
It's a location for the beaver enclosure, and many people will know that our beavers have escaped for the 2nd time. First time they came back, very kind of them. This time, Woody and Twiggy decided there were more interesting places to live out the rest of their lives, and so they have not returned to Mapperton. We're hoping to either bring them back or find some other beavers, but before we do that, we have to make sure that the beaver enclosure actually does its job. And so that we've been hard at work fixing the place where they were escaping, which was this broken grill, and bolstering that. And then also rebuilding their pond, because the beavers did such a good job of damming it that the water level rose so high, and when there was a storm, the whole of the bank with their dam just collapsed.
Right.
And that's just going to happen again unless it is fortified. So we've been fortifying it with stakes and logs and sandbags. Yesterday there were a lot of sandbags being carried, and that's why my shoulders are feeling slightly
And you came in,
today.
I wasn't there. You came in quite wet.
And covered in sand, But anyway, that's all coming up, so you will enjoy that on a future episode. And once that's been done, we can get some beavers back. It's felt rather.
So many of you have asked about the beavers, and it's because we've had to fix really the beaver enclosure before we even think about getting another pair in.
Yeah.
And that's taken time.
Yeah.
And also because we've been open for the season, it's hard to do so many projects at the same time when we're open to visitors. But as we are winding down, we've got a couple weeks left. We have the plant fair this weekend.
And luckily no rain and thunder
Can't believe it.
is forecast, because last year we had to cancel the plant fair.
Yeah, we did.
This time because of the storms that were forecast, and I'm glad we did, because it was absolutely torrential.
Now, what's interesting about the plant fair, and I just want to give a little bit of history around it, is that your mother started the plant fair about 30 years ago, and it's been this, we have one in the spring and one in the autumn, and lots of traders come. I don't know how many, 35, more than that, maybe 35, 40, and lots of visitors come. Our spring plant fair is a little bit busier than the autumn one. Spring plant fair, I think we get around 1,500 people. Autumn plant fair, we might get around sort of 600 to 700, but on one day. And your mom started this.
She did, but she started it with partners, because she hasn't done it all herself. But it's grown, and we think it's certainly one of the largest, if not the largest, in Dorset, certainly West Dorset. but also the one that people really want to come to. And if you're coming to the plant fair, lots of people will come early so they can snap up all of the
literally,
best
we open the gates at 10 a.m.
And there's a queue. Of 100 people, probably from sort of 9:45, just ready to get in there and capture something that they really want for their garden. So that's brilliant. And then we have, as Julie says, we are coming up to the very end of the season. This year, we have decided to close at the end of September. And part of the main reason for that is it's been so hard for us to open in October without losing money. We just don't get enough visitors in October to cover the costs of opening. And I feel sad about that. I feel sad in large part because the gardens look so wonderful in October as the autumn colours kick in. And so, Julie, I just wanted to see whether we might think about the odd day. We could do it, you see what we could do is something like lockdown. In lockdown, we learned that we could open digitally. We could open with people only buying tickets online, and also by putting out a notice on social media. We said, we're open this day, and people bought tickets and they came. And so it could be that if the weather's really good, and if the colours are
but we
delicious,
can't have the cafe open. Then people will have to know that the cafe would be closed.
But we could potentially have people just buy an online ticket, turn up, enjoy the gardens, bring their own coffee in a thermos or something, and head off and just do it like that.
Well, then you could do Sunday to Thursday opening in the gardens, but it'd have to be an honesty box. And you'd have to.
It wouldn't be an honesty box. It would be digital. It would all be digital.
But then you would just be trusting people because no one's going to be checking those tickets.
You'd be trusting people. But I think people are trustworthy, particularly the sorts of people who come to gardens.
But what if somebody arrives here thinking that it's open, not knowing that they needed to purchase a ticket online?
I've thought of that.
Oh, okay.
We have a big QR code on the door. They take out their phone, they go to the QR code, they put in their details, and they buy the ticket.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought.
Well, we've got 2 weeks to go, so we better think of that. But we would close down the cafe, definitely.
Yeah, I think the cafe would be too hard to continue as well.
Yeah.
But we have to keep the loos going, obviously.
Yeah.
That's okay. Anyway, those are some
possibly
thoughts
we'll have
for
to
that.
have that chat.
It was an idea. You have got, one of the recurring themes at Mapperton are the tapestries, and I'm always amazed that they are still part of the conversation.
They are.
Somebody's coming. Is that really true?
Yes.
Who's coming?
So that's my coffee machine, just sort of resetting itself. There it goes. It's cleaning itself out. It's lovely. So we have a expert in conservation of tapestries coming. And in 2 weeks' time, I believe it's the first week of October. She'll be here for the entire day, and I received her details. This sounds rather grand, but let me explain. When I was filming on our sister channel, American Viscountess, I filmed last October at Blenheim Palace, and I was with the head curator there. And one of the things we were looking at on my visit was their magnificent restoration of their tapestries. And I asked her if she had taken the tapestries to Belgium, because that is where many of sort of historic house owners with tapestries that needed stabilization or some type of restoration or repair would send them to them. I've actually visited that. It's called the Royal Manufacturers of Tapestry, and it's De Witt, and it's in a place called Mechelen, Belgium. It's fantastic. But due to Brexit now, costs are much higher if we want anything done in the EU. It's just how it is. So a lot of historic houses have unfortunately stopped sending their tapestries to Brussels and found somebody local, and that is the woman who's coming. I've already sent her a significant amount of video, and she believes that the tapestries that are in the dining room and the tapestries that are in the west room, 2 different rooms in the house, they look very much the same, but she believes that they're 2 different tapestries. and there'll be a puzzle. Now, it doesn't mean that we'll be putting the tapestries back together all in one. Because of the wall space here at Mapperton, the wonderful thing up here is that we do have a lot of windows here, so, which is fantastic. But we have sort of, you and I talked about a room where if we can get one tapestry done, the Tudor room would be a nice place, because there's a wall there, would be a nice place for one of it to go, and then one hanging in the dining room.
So,
if we can work it out. There's a lot to do on this, everybody.
The wonderful thing about spilling the tea at the Manor is that both Julie and I can drop things into the conversation in public so, in such a way that we have to agree with the other person. And so Julie has really honed the art of doing that. And your suggestion of the tapestries, of course, I agree with, because I couldn't possibly disagree with hanging them.
Well, I'll be
wherever you want to hang them.
She's then going to cost it out, and then I'll be running through Buy Me a Coffee, one of my big fundraisers, which is actually going to be fun because I have exciting ideas around this fundraiser.
Now,
really exciting
my
ideas.
only slight worry about that is you're going to be competing with my fundraiser, because I am later on going to be putting a fundraiser together for Stonework at Mapperton. We
talked about this
we talked about this last time, but since then we've had a wonderful stonemason come round who is going to help us to look at the prioritisation of all of the works that need doing here. That was really interesting. But we also noticed that, we've known this for a while, but one of the griffins, or the griffin on the northeast corner of the house, is very eroded and may need some serious recarving.
You're looking
and
at
repair. I'm looking at it at the moment. I can see it out of the kitchen window. And it turns out that this chap's son is a master carver, stone mason as well, but who carves with a huge YouTube following.
No, is it? No, I think
both.
It's both. Wow.
Both. YouTube
and
Instagram.
And I think TikTok.
So
huge.
We're not going to say anything more about it, but
Can't say who it is.
There may be some sort of opportunity
Huge.
for collaboration with this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else I've been doing this week in relation to animals, but not stone animals, has been providing a justification for the continued presence of Percy, the sulcata tortoise. It's
one of our main attractions.
It was
here.
a sad day when a UK government agency came here and said that they wanted us to move Percy away from the entrance to the visitor area here at Mapperton. So I've been writing up a robust defence of why Percy should stay where he is.
Can you explain why a UK government body came here?
I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but suffice to say that we have a responsibility, obviously, to maintain this heritage site and not cause any harm in terms of new buildings or changes. And we had made an assumption that putting up a very small shed with a tortoise in it wouldn't constitute harm to the heritage site, but people disagreed with that, which I can understand, so I'm not being critical of that. But I think we've done various things to improve it. For example, there's now a hedge in front of the shed.
Yes.
There are other changes that we've made. So I think we've got a really good defence of maintaining Percy where he is. The only problem is that Percy doesn't want to stay there. He keeps breaking out of the fence.
And he's got a big enclosure. I mean, it's very big.
He does, yeah. But so part of the plan now is going to be to replace the fence. And I actually agree with this agency that the fence we've got there is pretty ugly, and it's an opportunity to put in a much better looking, appropriate fence.
Good. Okay, I didn't know that. Fantastic.
And I mean, more news, I was getting really quite anxious because we've got wonderful grand historic tours coming up where we've got a group of guests coming to stay at Mapperton with Julie and me at the beginning of October.
Yep.
But one of the highlights of that tour is a recital where a gentleman comes and plays the piano, sings Gilbert and Sullivan songs, and we all join in. But of course, I went to the piano the other day and it was doing, doing. It was all out of tune.
Yeah.
And our usual piano tuner is completely busy and can't come. So I've finally managed to track down somebody who's
Okay, well done.
So that was a huge relief because
so
we will have a tuned piano for Gilbert and Sullivan for our guests.
And we'll film everybody for you. Again, we did this last year. We'll film bits of our Grand Historic Tour that's coming up in 3 weeks' time. It's so much fun. It's 5 nights, 6 days. Is that right? Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday. Yeah,
it is.
5 nights, 6 days. Think about that. So that's, we've got to get ready for that. And I see on your list, though, BBC.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Oh.
Julie keeps giving things away.
Okay.
That was just an aid memoir to me.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Okay, never mind.
Never mind. So forget that.
Okay.
So I'll start that as if Julie hadn't given that away. But a really large national broadcaster is considering coming to Mapperton to do a really exciting programme.
Yeah.
And I shall say no more than that.
And it would be really exciting.
It's not a drama.
No. It would be about Mapperton.
And it may star my mother. Those are the clues.
There you go. Exactly.
Which
does your mother know?
Deserved. She's very excited.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be happening until spring of next year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that could be very helpful for visitors next year because lots of people watch the BBC in this country.
Yes.
And every time we have a TV program that comes out, I mean, obviously, all of you watching now does wonders.
Yeah.
For our
So
visitor
thank
numbers.
you for watching. And
Can I tell you something that happened?
What?
A lovely couple turned up at Mapperton on, I think it was Wednesday, maybe Tuesday this week. And they saw me, and the lady came over to me very excitedly. And I said, I'm really sorry, Julie's not here. She's in London. And she said, no, we want to get a photo with you. And so
he's told me this story like 6 times
already.
already.
There I stood, I felt like a star.
Right. Did it feel good?
It felt good, I have to say. You get that all the time, but...
No, I don't get it all the time, but
me,
I do.
It's quite nice when a little bit of Julie's stardust.
Because this year, I would
Sprinkles
say
over
more
me.
than ever, we've had more Americans come and visit.
These weren't Americans.
I know,
These were
I know.
from Essex.
I know. No, but what I am saying
They
is
come
we
all
have
this way
had...
just for me and my hair.
Okay, and your hair.
Yeah.
Well, how is the picture? Did you approve it?
You know what? I didn't get to see the picture, but it came just at the same time as I had this meeting with this very esteemed national broadcaster. And the producer from the broadcaster had to take the photo of me. So she was so impressed.
That's exciting. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the American visitors
Right.
who have been coming here. This has seen our season, as we're about to close down in the next couple of weeks. We have never seen as many American tourists.
You.
So I just want to say
thank
you. And same with Australia. It's unbelievable. Yesterday, I had someone from Virginia who's part of my Alberta Research Project transcribing group of women who we won the award, the National Archives Award. The reason that we've got the exhibition is because of these women. And she came with her husband. She spent the day in the Monument Room, not the day, but a couple of hours with Daryl, who helps to scan the letters with me. I gave them a little behind the scenes. I showed them the 18th century dresses, which reminds me to talk about that, in the West Room. So I've kind of overtaken, so that was really exciting. So I just want to say thank you to all of the, not just the Americans, but everybody who's come from abroad.
Julie is incredibly good if she has a little bit of time in the day and you happen to be here and say hi. I
do.
She will.
I take them in.
You take them in. You take them in.
So speaking of, you were speaking of your broadcaster. I am in about 3 minutes, well, 2 minutes, thank you, have to get on a Zoom with quite a big museum, can't say what, in London, who is having an initial chat with me about those 18th century dresses, everybody, that went viral on our YouTube channel. If you haven't watched that episode, it's when I've uncovered them, and of course with my mother-in-law, and I've now properly,
Is this a big London museum that specialises in fabrics and interiors?
I'm not going to tell you.
You're not going to say. Okay. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to spill the beans.
But
Spill the tea.
It's possibly, and I'll give you guys an update if it happens or not, but it's possibly for a rather big exhibition next year in London.
Okay. We're hinting at all these things. We can't tell you everything
so
about
exciting.
it. It's quite frustrating, isn't it? But what it means is hopefully we're going to have lots of things happening over these next 6 months, which will keep us busy and you entertained. And so it goes on at Mapperton.
Well, let me just say one more thing about that. When we closed down at the end of September and then we reopened the beginning of April, during those 6 months is when we really do lots of planning and we're able to do bits of restoration work that we weren't able to do, and really kind of sit down and decide what we want to do differently for next year, what we want to add. So it's a big opportunity for us to plan. But of course, in between there, we've got bits. We've got our big Christmas market, which has become really, really well known. We've got yoga on Fridays still.
Yoga on Fridays. Right.
Today.
Talking about yoga on Fridays, it is today, and I'm going to be going to haircut on Fridays very shortly.
I'm going to get on my
so
Zoom.
I think we are going to sign off and say thank you so much for spilling the tea, or the water in my case.
Well, and the decaf coffee in mine, but you get the gist.
And there'll be another episode very soon.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.